As you guys know, I have cooked almost every steak in the world, from the world's most expensive Wagyu all the way down to literally $1 steak. And there's one steak that still lives right here in my heart. It is this picanha. It's also known as the queen of all meats. And when you buy it, firstly, this is what it looks like. It has a small triangular shape. It has to have a triangular shape. First off, let's open it up. When we open it up, this is what it looks like, everybody. It needs a little bit of trimming. First, clearly you can see there's some silver skin right here. This must be removed. It's quite easy. I just add my knife to the bottom. The goal is to remove the least amount of meat as possible. In, out. That silver skin has been removed. Now I turn it to the other side and notice that we're missing a piece of the fat cap right here. That's an imperfection of the butcher. We're gonna fix that. This will make your steak look bad and it will also overcook. But it still tastes great and we can put it to good use, so reserve. The edges has too much extra fat, so I like to remove it. We can use it for burgers and many other things. It's nicely trimmed now, and some butchers will actually give you the picanha this way. But if you're buying from a big supermarket or anywhere else, then you gotta do a little bit of trimming. Now to cut them in steaks. Let me teach you the anatomy of a picanha. There are 3 veins. The first one is right here, the second one is right here, and the third one is here. 1, 2, 3. The proper way to have a picanha is this part must be completely cut off. Why? Picanha should have the texture of a filet mignon, but the flavor of a combination of ribeye, New York strip, and a flat iron steak, if that makes any sense at all. This part is chewy, and if you ever had a picanha that was not really tender, that's the part you had. So I like to take it off. To do that, we must cut it on the 3rd vein. Quite simple. And this is a nicely trimmed picanha, exactly what you're looking for. Only the best parts. Now we cut it into steaks, and it's quite simple. The first cut must be with the grain. The second cut, on the other hand, has to be against the grain, and you're only gonna achieve that when you're eating the picanha. So right now, cut it with the grain. And most importantly, thickness is very important. Not too thick, not too thin. We're looking about 1.5 inches thick. And then, do not forget to trim the fat properly. And in the end, you should be left with something like this. A beautifully trimmed picanha ready for the grill. Now for the seasoning. Traditionally, I only like salt. So here's how I like to season. A good amount of salt. This is a big, thick steak. It needs it. Season one side, flip them, and now the other side. Very important. Something a lot of people don't do is to season the fat. You gotta season the fat, everybody. The way I like to do it is I just like to grab it and rub it on the board like so to ensure that every single edge of the picanha is nicely seasoned. In Brazil, we use really thick rock salt. The problem with rock salt is that you must allow it time to penetrate deeply into the meat. Here in the US, we have kosher salt, which is quite popular. This will penetrate faster because remember one thing, salt is salt. There's no difference. But now that this is ready, there's one extra ingredient that I like to use nowadays. Let me show you. Butter. Oh yes. So I got a really cool container over here, everybody. This is my butter container. I've never showed it on videos. So literally what it is, it's stainless steel, and inside it has a little basting brush. And since it's stainless steel, it's good for induction. And there we have it, everybody, perfectly melted. Now, some of you might think, should you be using clarified butter? Should you be using anything else? No. Real butter. You must use real butter. Why? Because we want the milk solids there. That produces an incredible flavor. And if you slightly burn it on the charcoal grill, it produces a nutty flavor that is just undeniably delicious. Now check this out. You see how it's becoming liquidy? This is called osmosis. The salt is drawing moisture out of the meat, becomes a brine, and then it penetrates deeply back in there. That's what you want. So the ideal thing is to normally do this a little bit ahead of time. But right now, we're hungry. We gotta finish this up right now. So let's go outside on the grill. Now, if you ask me, can you cook picanha indoors? 100% you can. But if we're trying to choose the best possible method, everybody, it is going to be outdoors with charcoal. Now for a grill, I recommend a grill that has 2 zones, a hot zone and a cold zone. First, let's light up the charcoal. Now, I don't understand why sometimes this is controversial. If you want the perfect steak, you should use a thermometer. This one is from Chef IQ. It is wireless. Now notice that I only have 1 probe, 5 steaks. You can obviously get more probes for it, as many as you want, but if you have one, it will give you a guidance on how the other steaks are cooking as well, because they're the same thickness. Now for the grilling, which is for a picanha, is quite challenging. And here's how I like to do it. We'll go ahead and grab the first steak, and we're gonna put it right here, but not the fat. Notice that the fat, I'm trying to avoid it, direct charcoal, just like this. We're putting the edges to cook. And right now, we're trying to get a sear. The sear is the most delicious thing on a steak, so we gotta get that part right. This one here is starting to look good. I'm literally, see, we're not there yet, but avoiding the direct fat contact, I'm just gonna flip it like this. Let's check these right here. You see that? We're starting to get there. We're avoiding as much as possible these little black bits of burned fat. See how things are starting to get a little bit out of hand? This is why I love this grill. I spin it, let everything calm down. We're starting to get a nice color. As you can see, we're gonna get this sear nice and easy and avoid burning anything. Take a look at that. That's what you want. But the fat is completely raw. And the reason why is because we're gonna sear that quite quickly. I'll show you that right now. I stack them up like this, hold them on my tongues. Now this, you gotta be real slow, because look what happens. One of the biggest things most people do whenever they're starting to grill is they start freaking out. Don't freak out. Take your time and produce an incredible golden brown crust. And that's what you're looking for. Nicely golden brown, nothing is burned, because now we gotta cook it in indirect heat until we reach the internal temperature that you like. And again, use a thermometer, because I'd rather be right than guess. Insert it in there. This one will let us know about all the other ones as well. And only now, because it's fully seared already, we still want that butter taste. Remember, picanha is very, very fatty, so we brush a little bit on top. Now we cover it, and then we slice. And there we have it, everybody. Perfectly cooked picanha. It is not burned, golden brown. That's what you want. Now you might think, why is this your favorite cut? Because it's delicious. We call this the queen of all steaks in Brazil for a reason. Now it's very important to let it rest. We want it, let it rest, but at the same time, we do not want it to get cold. So you're playing the fine line between letting it rest and getting cold. Usually for me, 5 minutes is good enough. Now let me show you some secrets. Come down here. From the biggest to the smallest, this cut is nice and tender. This one is slightly more tender. This one will be the best piece of picanha. Then it starts getting a little bit tougher, and then tougher as well. And the best part about picanha is that it's not as expensive as a ribeye or a filet mignon. The only thing left to do now is to go ahead and slice it open. And here's how I like to slice it. Perfectly medium rare, exactly the way I like my picanha. Now that is as juicy as it gets, the best steak in the world. Enough talking, let's give it a try. Don't take my word for it. The best way to eat picanha, everybody, is just basically to use little, how do you call this thing?
Toothpicks.
Delicious.
Oh my God. Oh, that's a twofer.
The question is, how does it taste? What does picanha taste like?
The tenderness of a filet mignon, but the taste of a New York strip.
You want one, Angel?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
This was an amazing picanha. And if you guys want to try this incredible picanha recipe for yourselves, download Chef IQ app and pair it up with your smart thermometer to give it a try. Thank you, Chef IQ, for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.